Hello Chelsea fans, welcome back to Chelsea FC updates, and remember to subscribe in order to get more news. Let's get started. Enzo Maresca sacked after Chelsea's struggles against Brighton, Bayern and Brentford. The Enzo Maresca era at Chelsea came to a crashing halt far sooner than many anticipated. What was once hailed as a bold new project, filled with promise, tactical innovation and youthful energy, has ended in turmoil, disappointment and ultimately dismissal. After a run of dismal performances, most notably a damaging defeat to Brighton, a painful European setback against Bayern Munich and a frustrating stalemate with Brentford, the Chelsea hierarchy made the ruthless decision to part ways with the Italian coach. For a club that has lived in cycles of short managerial reigns, Maresca's sacking seemed almost inevitable the moment results began to spiral. Yet the timing of his departure, barely months into his reign, highlights just how brutal the expectations are at Stamford Bridge, where patience is rarely afforded to any manager, no matter how promising the long-term vision might seem. A dream that started with hope. When Maresca arrived at Chelsea in the summer, there was genuine excitement. The former Leicester City boss had built a reputation for being a meticulous tactician, a coach capable of implementing a possession-heavy system inspired by Pep Guardiola's methods. Chelsea's owners, keen to inject stability after a turbulent carousel of managers, believed they had found the man to bring order to the chaos. The early days were filled with optimism. Maresca spoke passionately about discipline, controlling games and nurturing Chelsea's talented young core. The likes of Cole Palmer, Mykhailo Mudryk, Moises Caicedo, Esteban Willian and Alejandro Garnacho were expected to flourish under his guidance. Training sessions were intense but organised, and his emphasis on structure was evident. But as the weeks unfolded, reality struck hard. The Premier League's relentless pace exposed weaknesses in his system. The defence appeared too open at times, while the midfield often struggled to assert control against aggressive opponents. Most damagingly, Chelsea's attack faltered, with too many missed chances and a lack of ruthlessness in front of goal. The Brighton defeat. Cracks begin to show. The defeat to Brighton proved to be the beginning of the end. Facing Roberto De Zerbi's well-drilled side, Chelsea were overrun in midfield and outmanoeuvred tactically. Maresca's side looked lethargic and uninspired, unable to break down Brighton's press or match their intensity. The fans at Stamford Bridge watched in disbelief as Brighton capitalised on Chelsea's mistakes. Every misplaced pass and sluggish recovery was met with groans and frustration. By full-time, boos echoed around the ground, directed not just at the players but at Maresca himself. For many supporters, it was a chilling reminder of the struggles of last season, when Chelsea failed to find consistency under multiple coaches. For the board, it was an alarming sign that their gamble on Maresca might not be paying off. European heartbreak against Bayern. If the Brighton defeat raised concerns, the clash with Bayern Munich in the Champions League made them undeniable. Facing one of Europe's elite, Chelsea needed a statement performance. Instead, they were torn apart by Bayern's clinical attack and relentless pressing. The gulf in class was glaring. Bayern sliced through Chelsea's defence with ease, exposing the fragility of Maresca's system. While Chelsea managed fleeting moments of promise, Palmer's creativity, Garnacho's bursts of pace, the overall display was disjointed. The German champions left Stamford Bridge with a commanding victory, and Chelsea left with their pride in tatters. For the board, the European humiliation was unacceptable. For Maresca, it was another nail in the coffin. Brentford draw, the final straw. The final blow came against Brentford, a team Chelsea were expected to beat comfortably. Instead, the game was a grim reflection of Chelsea's struggles under Maresca. Sterile possession, lack of penetration, defensive uncertainty, and a failure to convert chances. Despite dominating the ball, Chelsea could not break Brentford's resilience. When Brentford equalised late on, frustration boiled over in the stands. Fans voiced their discontent loudly, with chants calling for change reverberating through the stadium. It was the moment the board could no longer ignore the growing crisis. A draw against Brentford may not have been catastrophic on its own, but in the context of back-to-back setbacks, it was decisive. Hours later, Maresca's fate was sealed. The sacking. Swift and ruthless. Chelsea released a brief statement the following morning, confirming Maresca's departure. The wording was polite but cold, thanking him for his efforts while emphasising the need to move forward in a different direction. Behind the scenes, the decision had been brewing for days. The Brighton defeat and Bayern loss had shattered confidence in his project, and the Brentford result tipped the balance. The owners, determined to ensure Chelsea's season does not spiral further, acted quickly. Interim arrangements are expected to be announced soon, with speculation already rife about who might take the hot seat next. Names like Jose Mourinho, Zinedine Zidane, Hansi Flick, and even club legend Frank Lampard have already surfaced, though nothing concrete has been decided. Dressing room division's reports suggest Maresca struggled to fully win over the dressing room. While some players appreciated his tactical detail and calm demeanour, others felt constrained by his rigid style. The younger players in particular reportedly found the instructions too restrictive, limiting their creativity. Senior players, used to different approaches under previous managers, allegedly questioned whether Maresca had the authority to lead a club of Chelsea's magnitude. Training sessions, while organised, were said to lack the intensity and dynamism that players expected at the top level. The lack of harmony within the squad was evident on the pitch. Body language spoke volumes, heads dropped quickly after setbacks, communication was minimal, and confidence seemed to drain away with each poor result. Fans too were split. Some sympathised with Maresca, believing he had been given too little time to implement his vision. They argued that Chelsea's problems run deeper than any one manager, pointing to years of chaotic recruitment, constant turnover, and lack of stability. Others, however, were unforgiving. They saw little progress under his tenure and grew tired of the repetitive excuses. For them, Maresca's dismissal was not only inevitable, but necessary if Chelsea were to salvage their season. The broader picture. Maresca's sacking underscores the turmoil at Chelsea in the post-Roman Abramovich era. The club's new owners have invested heavily, assembling one of the most expensive squads in world football. Yet, despite the outlay, results have failed to match expectations. The revolving door of managers continues, with each new appointment tasked with fixing the same underlying issues. A bloated squad, lack of identity, and sky-high pressure. Stability remains elusive, and Chelsea's search for a long-term solution goes on. For Maresca, it is a brutal lesson in the unforgiving nature of top-level management. His ideas may have been sound in theory, but the execution fell short, and at Chelsea, failure is rarely tolerated for long. What next for Chelsea? Attention now turns to the future. The season is still young, and Chelsea's ambitions, both domestically and in Europe, remain intact. The question is whether the next appointment can succeed where so many before have failed. The squad is packed with talent, but unlocking its potential will require not just tactical acumen, but also man management skills and the ability to withstand enormous pressure. Whoever takes the reins next will face a daunting challenge. What next for Maresca? For Enzo Maresca, the dismissal is undoubtedly a setback, but not the end of his career. His coaching credentials remain respected, and he may find opportunities elsewhere, perhaps back in Italy, or with another project willing to give him time. His brief Chelsea spell will serve as a cautionary tale. Even the most promising managers can struggle when thrown into the unforgiving spotlight of a club where winning is the only currency. Conclusion. Enzo Maresca's sacking marks yet another chapter in Chelsea's turbulent modern history. Defeat to Brighton, humiliation by Bayern Munich, and the draw with Brentford combined to end his short-lived reign. The Italian leaves with his reputation dented but not destroyed, while Chelsea once again find themselves at a crossroads. In the end, Maresca's time at Stamford Bridge will be remembered not for what it promised, but for what it failed to deliver. Stability, progress, and the return to glory that Chelsea fans crave.